Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Chief Investment Officer with Revere Asset Management. Today is Thursday, August 7th, 5:17 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from St. Augustine Beach, Florida, with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we are in an uptrend. Check the trend gauge over here. Leaders acting well. We got the green arrow there. Mixed bag on our short-term trend indicator, that being the 21-day exponential moving average on the indexes. S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 continue to be strong. Not so with the other indexes that are not heavily weighted by the big tech names, which are holding those two indexes up. Medium term and long term, 50-day moving average, 200-day moving average, green arrows there. So what happened today? Uh, Real strong overnight, and we gapped up 0.5% on the S&P, 0.7% on the Nasdaq 100, but put in the top for the day. About 10 minutes in, made an attempt to make a higher high that failed. Then we trended lower, just lower highs, lower lows for about 4.5, 5 hours. Market bottomed around 2:30 Eastern time, started to turn up, and a strong final 30 minutes cut the losses substantially. But really not a surprise that the gap up faded. When you take a look at the chart, as we will momentarily, you'll see that was a fifth day up off of the low with minimal consolidation during that period. So not a surprise that we reversed. I was a bit surprised by the severity of the reversal. For 4.5 hours, no bids whatsoever, but buyers did come in near the close. So gap up faded to red, leaders mixed, crypto strong. We'll dive into all these charts as we proceed. Here are the numbers: 21 over 21 strong, 14 up, 7 down, led by app up 12%, the 21 up an average of 1.6%. Turbo 12, on the other hand, weak. Two stocks really taking a ding out of it: Symbotic and TSSI. TSSI down 23%. We smooth this a little bit, but on average, still down 1.89%. Three up, nine down. The big eight, led by Apple, who committed an additional $100 billion to facilities in the US. So that's a total of $600 billion. Big eight up an average of 0.43%. The RG8 led to the downside by the IBD 50, down an average of 0.27%. S&P closed mildly down 0.08%. Same with the equal weight S&P. That's the RSP ETF. Nasdaq 100, here's where the strength was, up 0.34%. Equal weight Nasdaq 100 down 1/3%. Dow negative, mid caps negative, Russell 2000 negative. We'll check all of those charts. Global 60/40 was positive, however, as emerging markets and foreign stocks had a green day. And our flagship portfolio, GROTECTION portfolio, up 0.36%. TurboTection up 0.46%. Let's get into the charts. And here's the S&P 500. Let's draw a few lines here. So here, last Friday was the break of the 21-day moving average. Ugly day. Reclaimed it on Monday, pulled back and tested the 21, but it held on Tuesday. Made a higher high on Wednesday, and then the gap up today, but reversed immediately. Let's check a 5-minute chart here. Reversed really within the first 10 minutes, and then, a little 30-minute base there before this 4.5 hour move down, 90-minute strength into the close. So the final number, not bad at all. And really not a surprise, as I said, because coming off the low from this last Friday gap down, this was 3 days up, and then the fourth day a gap up. Not a surprise that it gets sold. You're also approaching the highs from 2 weeks ago, so a little bit of resistance can be expected there. We did undercut and then reclaim the 8-day exponential moving average late in the day, so that was a positive for bulls, as well as holding this green line. That's the 21-day exponential moving average. Onto the NASDAQ 100. Somewhat similar. move lower last Friday, fourth day up with a gap, gave it up a little bit, never touched the 8 EMA, so definite relative strength there. You can see the little hook up on the RS line. This is the leading index. Equal weight S&P 500, that's the RSP ETF. Tried to gap above the 8 and 21 day moving averages. That failed, but it did hold the 50-day moving average. So we're in on the equal weight S&P in this pennant that's forming here with lower highs on a closing basis. And if you include last Friday, lower lows. Let's go to the last of the big cap indexes, the Dow reclaimed the 8 and the 21, but failed as well, sitting around that 44,000 level where it's spent about 5 weeks now. But kind of a similar pattern there, playing out with the 21 EMA above and the 50-day simple below. How about mid caps? This looks a lot like RSP, reclaimed the 21 and the 8 at the open, faded, supported by the 50-day moving average. So you've got that pennant there again with the 21 on the top, 50 on the bottom. And finally, the Russell 2000 gapped above the 8 and the 21, pulled back, not close to the 50-day moving average. So showing a little bit of relative strength relative in comparison to the mid cap index and RSP. But that 22 and holding that 2200 level, but the gap up couldn't be sustained there. So those are the major indexes. Let's go to some inter-asset correlation here. The VIX was actually down on the day by 1.2%. The US dollar strong early. Let's look at a 5-minute chart here. Strong early, made a little bit of a cup. Late in the day, Trump announced his replacement for the departing FOMC, not the chair, but one of the Fed governors. And that person is seen as somebody who will do whatever Trump wants to do. And the dollar sold off on that. Kind of interesting action there. Precious metals continued strength. Let's look at GLD here. After a 3-day consolidation, making a higher high. GDX, higher high, 5 days up now. Silver, 5 days up as well off the 50-day moving average. Strength in Bitcoin, breaking back above after a 4-day consolidation, back above the 8 and the 21-day moving average for a 2% gain. And ETHA, Ethereum, 4-day consolidation, gap up 5%. So nice action there. Bonds in a tight range all day, no real impact on the prices or the yields. Let's get to the tail of the tape. Some changes here on secondary indicators. What the NASI is pointing lower, and if this can turn, this and it's going to require some breadth expansion, obviously, but with us pulling back in, finding support at the 21 and the NASI being negative, if this can turn, this would benefit a move higher, but actually it would be the move higher that makes the turn. We're mixed on the stochastics on the indexes and the RG8. Dollar and rates consolidating. Percent of stocks at the 5-day is about midway out of 53. New sentiment numbers came out today and they were surprising. AAII, this is retail. Bears are higher than bulls in retail. And again, we talked about the Trump derangement syndrome effect that is taking place in this. It's pretty obvious. On the other hand, the National Association of Active Managers, that's actually NAAI, no, NAA, whatever. National Association of Active Investment Managers, NAAIM. All right, it was up 23 points, 96. Mild concern here. We don't like this getting toward the 100 level as it's fairly reliable at marking tops. So mixed case there on sentiment. I mentioned the news. Keys coming into today. S&P against the 8 and the 21. We did an undercut and reclaim of the 8, so that's good there above the 21. Above the 8 and 21 on the NASDAQ 100. Below the 8 and the 21 on the Russell but holding the 50-day moving average. Day count from up one to down one. Uh, Second close above the 8-day moving average with the undercut and reclaim. Fourth day above the 21-day moving average. Our expectations remain positive with the S&P and the Nasdaq above their 21-day moving averages. As far as sectors go, gold and silver, semiconductors, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XLP, XLU, and foreign and emerging markets were strong today. Software, there's a thought going through the industry that AI is going to reduce the need for a bunch of enterprise software. You're seeing it in the charts. If you look at CRM and NOW selling off hard, cybersecurity too. If AI can detect intrusions, what do you need all the expensive cyber software for? So this is a theme that we're keeping our eye on for weakness. Oil's also weak. XLF and XLV, that's financials and healthcare to the weak side. Portfolio, no changes to GROTECTION, 1.36, volatility adjusted beta, 5.82% balance at risk. Turbo added to their hood position, 1.43 adjusted beta, 5.26 balance at risk. So bottom line of the day, gap up fades to red. Leaders were mixed. Crypto remains strong. Friday's keys. S&P 500 against the 821 and challenging. We're in the position to challenge all-time highs again. Same thing on the NASDAQ 100, 821 an all-time high, and the Russell trapped between the 21 and the 50-day. We'll see how those keys shake out tomorrow. Let's get to some charts and we will go to the turbo. We'll do that secondly. We'll go to the 21 over 21 list. And we'll start off with what we own in the portfolio. Palantir acting great since earnings, making a higher high. GE Vernova consolidating. Hood gapped up, closed near the top of the range. We're looking to increase our position in this. NVIDIA continues to work its way higher. MP up 7% after hours on earnings. Looking to increase our position in this as well. And also Reddit, need a mild Reddit pullback to add to that position. Let's see what else was strong on the day. AppLovin earnings reported. Initially down after hours by double-digit percentages. That recovered, ended the day up 12% and breaking out of this cup base. AMD continued strength, undercut and reclaim of the 21 yesterday after earnings, reclaimed the 8 today, showing some very nice strength. DoorDash reported earnings up 5% there. How about to the downside? In Turbo, Rocket Mortgage consolidating. You can see the ants. It's had a decent gain. Can still stand to pull back more. GE Vernova already looked at that. Net undercut and reclaim the eighth. A Lab inside day after its earnings gap. And let's go to the turbo list and what was strongest and weakest here. Sorry, let's take a look at the two that got destroyed. TSS, this is a computer tech services stock gapping on earnings below the 50-day moving average. Symbotic undercut and reclaim the 21, but still down 14% on the day. Strength in the Turbo 12, Galaxy Digital up 2.7%, Sanmina up 1%. How about some other earnings winners and losers? Bros back on our radar after gapping up on earnings, 400% above average volume, up 22%, reclaiming the 8, the 21, and the 50-day moving average. Very well received earnings report. DraftKings 21 over 21 member, kind of volatile intraday today, ended up basically unchanged. You can see it took out stops to the upside and stops to the downside. I think that's gonna wrap it. As always, let's take a look at some of these software stocks very quickly. You can see ServiceNow initially gapped up on earnings all the way up to 1050. all the way down, breaking 900 today. Rough connection there. And Salesforce hasn't reported yet, but also below the 200-day moving average lows going back to April there. So tough stuff for some big enterprise software names. Let's wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. The email is don@revereasset.com. The phone's 855 Real Wealth. That's 855-732-5932. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Revere Asset. And reminder, our flagship portfolios. GROTECTION is our flagship. TurboTection, the newer, more aggressive one, run by Ted and Connor, both with a dual mandate: grow assets during uptrends, protect them during downtrends. We highlight our rules and our actions every night on video. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors. Revere, we're going to be making some announcements about in the coming weeks or months, closing GROTECTION as it is now to new investors. We'll have a version of it. We can't the sake of our we can't sacrifice our current clients, people that have been with us for years, because we're growing. So we will close the current iteration of it to still be able to buy a wide universe of leading stocks. TurboTection can pick up what they can't, but the some of the newer money that comes on down the line will be limited to the more mega cap type names, as well as ETFs and index funds. The rules stay the same. It's just the makeup of the portfolios will be slightly different. And with that, I'll wrap it for Thursday, August 7th. This is Don Vandenbord with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.